What's going on, guys? When testing a React application that's using Redux, you're testing the components in isolation, but you might need access to your application's state, which is located in Redux. And so you'll have to use some preloaded state with Redux in your testing environment. For example, here I am mocking one of my API calls, and in that API call I have props.state.user, which is coming from Redux, but when testing this props.state.user doesn't mean anything. So this mocked API call is for this find friends test that I'm running here, which is for the find friends component, where I fetch users from the database, and this post request is when they click on a username to add them as a friend. I grab whatever user that is signed in from Redux, which is getting added to the state here. But for testing this component, we don't have the user signing in and then getting to this part. It's just testing this component by itself. So we'll have to add that user to the state in Redux for our testing environment. So this is the test utilities file. I have another video on how I configured this, and I'll give you a quick rundown just so you know what's going on here. When testing a component that's using Redux, you have to wrap a provider around that component. So we're importing the render method that we use when testing the component from React Testing Library, and we're renaming it React Testing Library Render, and then we're creating our own render method where we bring in Redux toolkit to easily configure a store. We bring in our reducer, we wrap the provider around the component that we'll be sending in, and then we return the React Testing Library render inside of this custom render method. And then we export everything from React Testing Library and then override the render method so that we have a provider wrapped around the component that we're testing. That way, when we're testing, we can just say render like normal, except that we'll import it from test utilities. And this makes our tests a lot cleaner, and we don't have to provide a provider around the component in every test. So this is where we are configuring our store, and this is where we bring in our reducer, and this is our root reducer. You'll see we have the combined reducers here. We have auth, posts, and comments. So to provide a preloaded state, it also has an object for that as well. We'll put another object inside that, and our initial state will be in the auth reducer. And let's see, if I have my store and my auth reducer, my initial state in the application is all empty, but for this test we want the initial state of a user. That's the props.state.user that we're getting here is coming from the user here. So in our test utilities, this is our auth reducer. So the user, and then we can make this whatever we want. I'll say Van Halen. And then in the handlers, this will now be Van Halen. Save that and go down here, npm run test. Test passed. And this can be used in different situations when testing a component that needs access to state in Redux. For example, if we were sending in some properties into this component that we needed from Redux, we could hard code a string or a boolean where inside the component it would say, props.state.whatever, and then in your preloaded state You can make an object for the different kinds of reducers that you have, and then the object that consists of the state in that reducer, you can access those properties and set any values. Anyways, hope this helped. I have a few other videos that are related to this that I'll go ahead and toss in the description. There's the one where we configure this file and Redux toolkit and overriding the render method for testing components using Redux. I also have a video where we don't do all this, but we do the version where you would wrap a provider around it in each test. And then I also have a video on how to mock API calls, which we're doing here with MSW. So I'll put links to those if you need them. And then just hit that like and subscribe if you feel like it. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching.